Thanks so much for joining me today as we take a look at empaths and our relationship with leadership, whether it's being a leader, following other leaders, our relationship with what it feels like to be in groups when there's a leader, and how being empathic affects all that. So I'm David Waldas. I'm the founder of Aligned Living, and I'm the author of Insight, Influence, and Flow. And most of the work I do is really about helping people get in touch with their own alignment, their own clarity, and bring that forward into their life. And so, diving right into this, I wanted to share with you an experiment that was done at the ESADE school in Barcelona, Spain. It's this renowned business school that they were conducting an experiment where they were trying to figure out how to identify emerging leaders. So when you have a group of people, who is it that's going to step up? Who is it that people are naturally going to want to follow? And what are the signs that help us predict that? And so they did this really fascinating experiment. They hooked up these 30 graduate students all to EEGs and EKGs, monitoring their vital signs. And then they put them in small groups of like 5 or 6 and gave them case studies to solve. Then they sat back and observed. And what they found is that every time they did the experiment, within the first 20 to 30 minutes, they could identify who was going to be the leader. And so when you think about, what is it that makes a leader a leader? What is it that makes people want to follow them? We may think about charisma, we may think about self-confidence, we may think about, things you've trained for to, get people to bring their awareness to you. It may be about attractiveness. And, while all these sure play a role, what they identified as the primary indicator, the biggest predictor, was how stabilized people were internally. And so the people that were their vital signs were not moving, the people that were not fluctuating with their surroundings were the ones that people in the group naturally turned to for leadership. It wasn't about the best ideas necessarily. It wasn't about who they liked the most. It was about who made them feel the most stable. And so think about this in yourself. Are you somebody that, if you are identifying now as a highly sensitive person or an empath, we're so aware of our surroundings, right? That we're constantly being pushed and pulled by, people that are super receptive. Maybe it's really easy for us to express ourselves. People that feel a bit more resistant or a little bit stuck or not wanting to follow us. It kind of gets us gummed up, maybe a little bit derailed. And so what are you like in those situations? Are you somebody that it depends on the audience? Are you somebody that some days you can really count on yourself to be an amazing leader? But then other days when people are a little bit more resistant, or maybe there's somebody else that's trying to want to lead, then it throws you off. Then it makes it really hard for you to find your own stability, your own alignment, or if people are doing things that are distracting, you get pulled into that. And what they found is that the people that are the leaders that people naturally look to are the ones that, regardless of what's going on, can stabilize themselves internally. And so we can see how that can be a real challenge for empaths, right? When we're so aware of our surroundings and how people are receiving us, we fluctuate. We lose our inner stability. And so really fascinating, not only with the people that were in training with that leader, like they were looking to them for that stability, not only would they do that mentally, but physiologically it showed up as well. And so what that means is their vital signs, their respiration, heartbeat, those kinds of things would start to sync up with the leaders. And so, there's a lot of theories about how that happens. For me, it feels very clear that our electromagnetic fields, our energetic fields, that those of us that are empathic or highly sensitive are very aware of, that it pushes and pulls people. And people that are stabilized internally, they found something inside of themselves to stabilize. And that was always my first question. When I learned about this experiment, I said, well, what are the people that are leading? What are they stabilizing? And if everybody around them is stabilizing in them, how are they self-entraining? And the answer doesn't really matter that much as I started to explore it. It could be that they grew up just being treated like they were the leader and they just believed it and proceeded forward. It could be about their religious or spiritual beliefs, that they just feel like they've been chosen to lead. It could be that, that they just think they're smarter than other people, or that maybe they're really brilliant and they rely on that. And it doesn't matter what the answer is. The results are created by an inner stability. And so just by having this awareness, it automatically helps us step into a role of leadership, right? We recognize, am I being pushed and pulled by my surroundings? Am I stabilized internally? Or am I really kind of fluid? Am I feeling solid and then not trusting myself? Am I getting drawn into somebody's resistance? Am I getting lifted by somebody else's receptivity? And just by our awareness, we can start to disengage from that push and pull. And we can start to go, okay, if I'm going to step up as a leader, I need to find that inner stability. I need to find that place where I can show up that people are going to want to follow. And that gives us influence. It gives us the ability to connect and allows our great ideas to be heard. It allows us to build our businesses. It allows us to do the things that we're wanting to do in life because we start to show up in a more, I don't want to say authoritative, but in a more influential way, in a way where people look at us like what we have to say is important. Okay? Just through this conversation, I think that's going to shift a little bit for you. And I also wanted to offer you, if this is exciting to you, if you were like, oh man, I know that feeling of not being able to trust myself, or of not being sure if I'm going to show up in my solidness, or if I'm going to show up in my, where I'm gummed up in other people's stuff. I have another video I put out that's a free class that I did. It's like an hour long, really going into depth, giving you some tools to work with this. And so that replay is available right now. I'll put the link there for you. And I'm also doing some free live classes like that, starting to introduce some of what I call the aligned living techniques, the aligned living system, to teach some of the stability. And it has a lot of stuff that comes with it, but this is a great place to really connect with the value of it. And so if you go to my webpage, davidwaldas.com, which I'll put a link down here too, you can see when the next free class is. Because I just love sharing this with people, and I hope today, just through your awareness, you're going to see some shifts. But if you want to take it to the next level, if you're going like, oh man, I know that feeling, or maybe you're going to go out into the world and you're going to start to recognize it more in you, of that instability, of that nervousness that comes up, or that resistance, or that, however you show up when you're wanting to lead or just wanting to have your voice heard. I hope you'll take on one of those options and check out the video, or I'd love it if you join me for that free live class. It's always so fun to interact with people directly. All right, have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you again in future videos.